In the allotted time it took to build a prop and actually shoot something practically, where you actually get everything in camera, can you actually get to that same bar of quality using nothing but digital tools?
I built a prop I want to be killed with.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, let's kill Adam Savage, let's do it.
So you're directing a movie, and you gotta decide, do you do this effect for real and capture it in camera, or do you do it later on in post-production using computers and visual effects? Which one looks better? Which one saves you the most money? Which one's gonna make you the best movie? This question has been discussed millions of times on the internet, and today we're gonna answer it.
Or at least we're going to explore it. You know, there's no simple answer to this question. However, I do find this really compelling to just figure out. In the allotted time it took to build a prop and actually shoot something practically, where you actually get everything in camera, can you actually get to that same bar of quality using nothing but digital tools? And of course, we are going to be testing this concept with none other than Adam Savage.
Adam invited us up to San Francisco to check out this prop that he's working on based on the scene from this movie Chinatown, where Jack Nicholson gets his nose cut open.
You know what happens to nosy fellas? Huh? They lose their noses.
Oh, ooh, dude.
It looks really good.
What makes that work is that, like, you see a tip of the knife disappear inside of his nose and then go laterally out. You can't do that because there's nose in the way.
And you see his nose itself, like, get stretched, the nostril.
Yeah. He's actually acting as if his nose was sliced open, because it's like when you're splattered with blood, it's hard. It's a very visceral feeling, I imagine. Now, we don't know exactly how this effect was done, but Adam has studied the scene frame by frame in order to reverse engineer not just the prop, but the blood splatter. He even timed every moment of the build, which of course you can watch right now on the Tested YouTube channel.
We're gonna take that amount of time, we're gonna give that same amount of time to a visual effects artist, in this case Fenner, to see what they can do with the exact same amount of time and resources. Now, if the shot is as good or better, that has some interesting implications. We'll discuss why. If it's worse, same thing. At the end of the day, it's all a learning experience for us to judge the nuances and complexities around this topic and what one has to think about if you are a director or producer and you're trying to decide between actual practical effects or digital effects.
All right, guys, you are in luck. It turns out that the original prop knife made for Chinatown by prop master Logan Fraze, don't know the actual pronunciation, went on auction a few years back, and this is a picture of the actual knife from Chinatown. Now, there's a few things I learned about this that are really cool. One is that it's a fake knockoff of an Italian stiletto, and I know this because I can see from this, it just says stainless steel, and the Italian one, it would actually have the name here, and then it would also be on the blade. This knockoff was what every Hollywood prop master used for switchblades. It's in Terminator, it's everywhere.
Okay.
But I had a really impossible time finding a cheap knockoff that was 30 years old because they've all fallen apart.
Oh.
So I ended up buying a really nice Italian stiletto, which is a much better guard on it. And this is here is my Chinatown knife. When I took the Blu-ray that I had and freeze framed it, there is one frame in which you can see the tip bent.
Just the one frame.
There's just a shadow of the tip bent. So I was thinking about the tip, and I was thinking about doing a mechanical pivot, like some sort of direct mechanical pivot to get it out of the way. And then I realized I was thinking too elaborately, which is one of my penchants. And so instead, I simply used a spring. You'll see, if you go ahead and flick that, it does not, it's a very, very gentle. So I knew I was onto the right track. And then I also, this is just a straight Tom Savini blood rig, right? Fill this with fake blood, squeeze it, blood comes out here.
So you took two different knives, chopped them up, ground them down, attached all this stuff to it, tested it. How much time did that take you?
About 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours.
That's not a lot of time for doing visual effects.
I consider that up till that successful camera test is all time spent getting this to work, including this shot, right? Okay. So whatever time we spend getting this to go is part of my build time.
That makes sense, because to execute a practical thing like this, you have to practice and rehearse and nail it.
All right, let's load the knife up with some blood.
I think you're also going to be thrilled by the blood. So this blood was given to me by the breakaway effects crew on Alien Covenant. Ridley wanted so much blood for this movie that they had to just make their own, and they made like 3,000 gallons of it.
Oh, wow.
So as soon as they told me that, I was like, can I have some?
Like, what goes into like fake blood.
So it is a little bit of corn syrup, a little bit of water. You always want to add some cornstarch for a little opacity. And then it's never just red. You always add a little bit of blue and a little bit of green in to darken it and give it a little more body. There's much more green in humans than anyone realizes. I was thinking that you'd be slicing my nose.
Oh, really?
Well, I built the prop I want to be killed
Yeah.
with. Right?
Yeah, let's kill Adam Savage. Let's do it.
Do you want to rock, paper, scissors to see who gets to do it?
You could do it.
You don't want the pressure.
I don't want to be responsible for hurting you.
Oh, I'm not worried about that. It's actually just about getting the timing. The way I worked it out was, it's easy to think of it as swipe and squeeze, but it's more like
probably squeeze, swipe.
It is. It's like, think about the squeezing first and then move just before you do it. And so I think you should practice. If you're going to do it, you should practice a couple times. Make sure we feel good about it.
All right, you know what happens to nosy guys? They lose their noses. I didn't do it straight enough. I thought this was gonna be easy. This is actually a lot more difficult. It's because you need to do the blood right, you need to do the timing right, you can't hurt your actor, you need to do the slice just right, you need to hide the bulb, you need to clear the frame, they need to react, like,
it's a whole thing.
there's a lot. There's like 10 steps
This
happening.
is exactly what practical effects work is always like. Let me also tell you this about being a practical effects guy on set is that you don't experience in CG, is that when I'm doing my job, everybody is staring at me.
Oh, this is the worst.
The gaffers are like, that shit's not gonna work. They will tell you that you're an idiot right as you're doing the effect while the director's yelling at you. The grips are, everyone's waiting for you to fail. Everyone's, you know, we cost 10 grand a minute, right? You know, you do your job under the most egregious duress when you are a practical effects person. So please think about that. While you're doing your visual effects, maybe imagine having 10 people behind you staring at your screen, thinking about every mouse click you're making.
So now we have officially restarted working on the practical bit here, which means we're on the clock. So all this time right now is counting towards the practical effects.
Let's see, Nicholson actually, so let's just stand where you're gonna slice this way.
Yep.
Nicholson goes,
Camera's here.
you go slice, he goes, and moves like that.
So it was like this? It was like,
Stuff that side, yep.
Oh, by the way, Niko, I totally forgot to tell you, this is what I'm wearing to the Met Gala tonight. It is imperative you don't get any blood on me at all, or else you ruin everything. Sorry to spring this on you at the last minute. Let's go.
Actually, real talk though, I am a little nervous and I have a little bit of adrenaline going, but it's just because I really want to get it right. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, it's fine. I'm good. I'll tell you if I'm uncomfortable. Yeah, that's great.
All right, here we go. This is it.
I'm speeding. Niko, let me see the knife in place just so we make sure that we're not gonna have any. Wait. I'm seeing tube. I'm seeing tube when you bring it up.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you really got to
a little bit more.
Yeah, get that angle and make
We're
sure.
on the clock, Niko.
Reset. Still rolling.
Huh? What are you saying about visual effects? That practical effects are better? You don't think visual effects can cut it? I'll show you cutting it.
Wow! Was that great?
It looks amazing.
I got it on Claude.
Practical. Record all the time it takes me to get cleaned up.
Wait, Ren, did you get any on your shirt that you're wearing to the Met Gala?
Oh my God, I did.
Dude, nice. Really nice. It worked.
And I love how it hits Ren's face too. It makes a perfect splatter.
I think we got the shot. All right. And that timer.
Total ad time to Adam Savage's build time,
I tend to think the
15:53.
Okay, now it is time to shoot the VFX plate.
So here we have the practical knife that Adam built. And here we have the knife we're gonna use for VFX. Luckily enough, Adam needed the tip from the second knife, so we have a perfect VFX knife.
Why is this a perfect VFX knife, Niko?
Well, if you've seen other videos on our channel where we talk about swords and knives, often we talk about half blades. Because in movies these days, when they're stabbing people and cutting them up, they just CG in the tip of the sword, but they keep the other half of the sword or blade so that when you poke somebody with it, you're not like, it's not just like floating around on their chest.
Right.
So this is actually perfect. So what I'm thinking we're going to do for the visual effects version of this shot, we're gonna film it the same way, it's gonna be handheld, and then do the same motions.
3, 2, 1, slice. I think we got what we need for VFX.
Yes.
Oh, so
That
we're
was all
done. That's a wrap. That's That's a wrap for the VFX.
Oh guys, don't worry, we're gonna use some really cool computers and software. See you later.
We'll make it look good later.
All right, we've recorded our shots. Now we're going to go back and spend the same amount of time with a visual effects artist to see if they can make the shot look as good as the practical one.
I love this. This is so much fun. I don't care who wins. I love the don't get me wrong, I know I win, but
We'll see about that.
I love the exercise. I would love to hear their ideas about practical versus digital effects we could play with in the future, because this is already some of the most fun I've had in a while, and I can't wait to see how it turns out. I mean, I know I win, but I really still can't wait to see how it turns out.
We'll see. If you guys got any ideas for where like it might help out us, I want to see those comments.
All right, Adam, we're gonna get back to LA. We're gonna work on the shot, and we'll show you the results.
Are you calculating flight time to LA in your time? I'm just wondering.
We'll get back to you on that. All right, we're back from San Francisco. It was an amazing trip. Oh boy, it was like pretty cool. But this isn't about how cool our trip was. This is about getting the shot, right? So we have the shot that we did practically with Adam, and it looks really good.
Oh, that looks awesome.
It looks pretty cool, doesn't it?
It looks super
It looks
cool.
as good as the actual shot, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, so the thing that we didn't anticipate is how much blood ended up on my face.
Which is a great, like,
It
touch.
sells it, yeah.
It feel like you get all the nice, like, real timing here, where it's like, you know, something happens and your body instinctively reacts, and then like your brain figures out what happens, and you get like a second layer of reaction. But here's the problem, Fenner. The knife tip wobbles when I stick it in Adam's nose, so it's not any good. We can't use it. Can't do any visual effects in this shot, but we did it a second time.
So you guys had to reset, refilm everything. I think that adds to my timer a little bit.
It does, it all counts. So here's the second take.
Yeah, the knife definitely sells a lot better in this take.
Not quite as extreme on the blood slice, but in a way, like, it's more realistic on Adam's face, but you just don't get the major blood splatter on Wren. You get a little bit.
I kind of do like the blood splatter pattern on Adam's face in this shot more, but I think the overall blood from the first shot is still a better shot. So that's something we can maybe do, is actually like try to fix that first practical shot, but that's not why we're here right now. We have a clean plate version of this where there wasn't any knife tip or blood or any of that. So let's take a look at that shot, because that's what you're actually gonna be working with, Fenner.
It's a little delayed in the reaction, hey?
The performance from all of us isn't as good as when we did it practically.
That's just one of the benefits of shooting practically with stuff like that. It's you have the shock of getting blood on your face. You feel that tug of the actual like collapsing knife tip, but.
Fenner's gonna have a hard time matching this in terms of its quality, I have a feeling.
So the easy parts are gonna be just finding the elements. We've got some great action VFX blood elements we can use for this. The hard parts are gonna be matching them to what we're actually seeing in our practical shot here. So obviously perfect motion blur. The tracking's perfect because it's just actually there on Adam's face. A big thing is gonna be those reflections in the blood. That'll be tricky to emulate for sure. It's gonna be interesting. I think the biggest thing that I'm noticing is the performance difference. I think it'll be doable, but it's definitely gonna be a challenge.
Fenner, Adam told us it took him about 2 hours and 31 minutes to build this prop, and that is how long you have to get as close as you can to the final practical shot.
If you can't get there, let's keep going and see how long it does take you to actually get there. Most importantly, I wanna see, given the same amount of time, where does visual effects end up compared to practical effects?
We'll try it. One hour down, exactly. Things are going well. Starting to make some good progress here. Got the blood tracked on Adam's face. In my opinion, one of the most powerful tools that the Foundry has added to Nuke in recent years is smart vectors. Before something like smart vectors, you'd be, trying to 2D track this, maybe grid warping it around to try to match the subtle little motions that Adam's face has as he's acting as if his nose just got sliced. And the incredible thing about smart vectors is it gets all those little minute details, and it essentially does the majority of the intense tracking labor for us. Something like this wouldn't have been feasible in this amount of time, even just a few short years ago. So I'm really, really thankful to the team at the Foundry. Thank you guys. I think it's looking pretty good. I'm just working on those little reflection details. Next up, I think I'm gonna do that knife tip, which might be a little bit tricky, but we'll see how it goes. Freaking out, I'm freaking out.
Got it, buddy. Got it, you're doing great. I'm a little worried because real world stakes, like if Fenner doesn't win this, that's a huge mark on the visual effects community where, realistically, could be the death of the visual effects community. I think Corridor closes its doors. I think we start something new. Maybe we become farmers. I don't think we could be in better hands. But I'm sitting here kind of stressing about it.
How long have you spent on this so far?
An hour 56 so far.
So you did almost everything in the... Dude.
Totally worked. I got a little track of the knife, and then basically just roted the knife blade, did a little soft roto for the tip, and basically just transformed it up so we get all the nice little reflection details.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, as the reflections change. Oh, you got the blood in there too on it.
Yeah, just that little extra to kind of parent the little extension with the practical blade.
It's moving his nose. You got the nose moving in there too.
Yeah, just
Oh my God,
just a little
dude.
bit.
Heck yeah.
It's
Wow.
honestly, it's come together a lot quicker than I expected, but a huge part of that is just like availability of the tools we have in Nuke, and nowadays, like, it makes our jobs easier for sure.
Great work, man. This is nice.
Thank you, dude. Yeah, so I'm just gonna spend a little bit more time on this, try to get it all buttoned up. I think I have another hour left to go, but once it's done, I'll render it out and we'll be ready to show Adam.
How's it going, Adam?
Very good. How are you gentlemen today?
We're ready. We did the work. Well, actually, I shouldn't say we. Fenner here did the work. So Fenner was our victim. He had to go up against you. You know, you're a master of practical. Fenner is a master of digital. So I'm curious to see where the two combine. But first, what was your final tally in terms of time to build the knife?
Now, we also added in the amount of time it took to film the effect, and the total was 2 hours, 31 minutes, and 18 seconds.
Wow.
2.5
okay.
hours.
That's pretty fast. That's pretty fast. Did you actually get it done sooner or did it take longer?
It would have been slightly longer than that. I think it was 2 hours, 56 minutes.
But you did have a finished version that could have worked in about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, spoken like a true producer. The res is good enough. Print it.
It sounds like we're pretty close. It sounds like Fenner is maybe a few minutes over.
It's comparable.
We'll call it even in the wash, right? Here's a thought. We're gonna show you a take, and you tell us if this is the practical version or if this is the digital version, okay?
All right, yeah, sure. I'll take that challenge.
Here we go.
All right.
Nosy guy, huh? You know what we do to nosy guys around here? Wanna guess? Do ya? Or losing noses?
That was the digital.
He got it.
What gave it away, Adam?
I knew that we left blood on Wren's face both times with my takes.
There is technically some blood splatter on my face in the shot.
Yeah, not enough.
Not enough.
We did actually get 2 different takes of the practical shot. The first take was the better take. Unfortunately, it was unusable.
When I stuck the knife into your nose, I didn't get it cleanly in there, so the blade wobbles as it goes in. If we had to do like a no digital effects version whatsoever, the second take is one we had to go with. The ideal way of doing this is to combine both, to do your practical with visual effects. So we took that first take and we cleaned up the wobble on the knife so it's usable, and here's our both techniques married together version. Nosy guy, huh? You know what we do to nosy guys around here? Wanna guess? Do ya?
Oh man, that goes way up in there.
It's hard to beat that blood splatter.
Yeah.
Looking at these shots, what differences stand out to you?
I'm impressed with the blood spatter on the digital one. It's really, really lovely.
Nice work, Fenner.
Sweet.
If anything, the digital, my reaction's a little bit tighter on it because there's this delay with the practical where I pause. But then in the original film, Nicholson also pauses right after the blood hits as he's like, blood, and then moves. I was trying to do the same thing, but I think the timing works just a little better on the digital.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because that was like our biggest observation too, is the performances are actually pretty different between the two. While you're right, it's tighter in the digital one. In our opinion, the practical one gets this really real reaction. You end up with the blood in your eye, it makes you jump a little bit. You can almost tell that for a moment you forget where you are, and then everything reconnects like, oh yeah, I gotta hit these beats, then you go back into it. That gives it this authenticity that the digital version doesn't quite have.
And this also goes to exactly the thing that directors with the clout of Ridley Scott want to build big fat sets that put their actors inside a real environment because you're always going to get something better when there's real stuff around.
I think in the real world, there's not like a clear answer of like, which one's better, practical or digital? It's really, at the end of the day, the best version is usually a combination of both of them.
At this point, with the kind of stuff that John Knoll and the team at Mandalorian is doing, practical effects are also lowering in their cost and what it takes to implement them. So, I mean, I think that what you guys ended up doing that's the best take, which is that hybrid of the physical and the digital, is exactly what's happening in the industry. The institutional knowledge is now coming full circle to encompass both. I love the fact that we did dueling banjos between digital and this hilariously simple rig. I just think this illuminates everything that we love about special effects, right? Because it's not about one method being better than the other, it's about the problem solving of getting the story onto the screen in a way that's emotionally involving, right?
Yeah, thank you for doing this project with us. It was really cool to explore it from both angles and get the results out of it.
And I'm glad that I can now say that I have restrained Adam Savage.
You know, oftentimes when you reveal the secret of a magic trick, the response is disappointment. But I feel like with something like this, it's absolutely the opposite. It's like a thrill that something so simple has such a powerful impact.
It's a clever solution that when you see it, you're like, oh, this is super clever. I love it. As opposed to like, oh, you just lied to me.
This is not the last time I want to do this. I totally want to figure out another effect to play with, you guys. This seems to me like a rich mine to start digging in.
I agree 100%. We'd love to do more of these. If you want to see these videos coming out, you should subscribe to Quarter Crew and to Tested. We'll have links to them in the description and everywhere else. Also, leave a comment for any practical versus digital effects that you might want to see. We can use those as some inspiration as we explore this further.